Hi, this is Deborah, and I'm going to give you 3 quick exercises that you can use almost anywhere. At home, in your living room, while you're traveling in a hotel room, or while you're away visiting at someone else's house. So I happen to have right here with me just 2 water bottles that I use for riding on my bike. I could fill them with water, as long as I make sure they don't leak, or I could fill them with sand or with rocks and change the weight of the water bottles. So that's one easy fix that almost anybody can do, but you can also go to your cupboard and grab soup cans. Kind of hard to get big enough to really add a lot of weight where you can still hold on to it with your hand. So do what you can. If you don't have hand weights, you can make do with something, because actually going through the range of motion, even with body weight and very little extra additional resistance, will still be helpful. So we're starting with a leg exercise and a push and a pull, and that's it. So here's the leg exercise. We're doing this because it's major muscle groups, and it helps us to get out of a chair and do just about everything else that we want to do in life. So here's your squat, and what I'm going to call this really is a suitcase pickup, because that's what you're trying to do, and I'm showing from the side so you can see what's happening joint by joint. So what you're going to do is hold the weights at your side and then bend over, and actually you're bending over as if you're going to pick up suitcases. So if you're going to do that correctly so you don't hurt your back, you're going to make sure that you press through your feet and you keep your back nice and long. Even though I'm flexing from my hip, my back is staying fairly still as I come up and down. So I'm going to demonstrate and want you to do up to about 15 of these. Now, if you have a chair sitting behind you, you can actually take your hips and tap them into the chair, not actually sitting down, but that'll help give you a target so you know how low you're going. Now, here's a variation. You'd put one of those weights down and do the exercise with just one weight. So if you're really strong, you could do this with 15 or 20 pounds or more, and that's really going to pull you one direction. So you're working very hard through your abdominals, your core, to make sure that you don't move to one side when you're doing that. So then, of course, you have to do a second set on the other side. So do 15, either with both or with one, then rest before you would do your other side. And then that is your squat. If you're just starting, haven't been exercising as much as you've intended to so far, do 1 set of 15 before you move on to the chest press, which we'll do next. Ideally, the chest press, you start on the floor. It gives you a great target. I want you to first put your weights down and put your elbows right against your sides, fingers up. And then I want you to take your arms and put them out to the side. So from the top, if someone were looking down on you, you were a T. And the position I'd like your elbows in would be halfway between each of those spots. So from the ceiling, if someone were looking at you, you're creating the letter A or a V. And that's ideal, less stress on your shoulder. You're going to take the hand weights, and all you're going to do is bring them up so the thumb end of the weight touches together. Tap your elbows on the floor. Don't relax completely, but the idea is to tap so you get all the way down. We're going to do 15 of these exercises, and really think about pressing your shoulder blades back down to the floor. So this is an exercise for the chest, but think about being broad across the front of your body so you're really able to open up. And that will help your posture just a little bit more in doing this exercise if you don't collapse. So I'm not counting as I'm talking, and I'm going to do about 5 more. Nice and slow and controlled, and that's the key. So nice and easy on the way down. You can press a little faster on the way up and lift, making sure you're staying nice and strong. And notice that I have my knees bent, as that protects your lower back. When you're finished with your 15, go ahead, put your weights down, and then you roll over to come up. Our last exercise is the bent over row. So you're gonna need both of your hand weights for now, and the variation we'll do without both and do with one. So I want you to bend over, and it's almost as if you're sitting in the chair and assuming the same squat or suitcase pickup position you were in, only this time you're going to make your back just a little bit more flat. And you're going to row with the arms, pulling your elbows toward the ceiling. Keep your eyes out in front of you and on the floor. And again, our goal is about 12 to 15 repetitions. And ideally, you want to wait that you start to feel that 15 is about enough. You can still do them really well with good form. Nothing should hurt. 15 right here, and what I want you to do is to think about your weight is on your heels, so you're pulling your hips back behind you. If your weight is forward on the balls of your feet, you're going to feel stress in your knees. So it's really important that you press backward onto the heels. Toes are lightly wiggling in your shoe, and if you can do that, you're probably in a much better position. Make sure that your back is slightly arched, not rounded. So it's the opposite direction. Bring your chest forward, take your hips back, and that's the optimal position for your row. So your variation is to put one down, do a row with one hand, still making sure that you stay nice and level and square, and then relax, and you would rest for a minute or rotate through the exercises before doing the other side. And that's your bent over row. You've done a suitcase pickup, a chest press, and a bent over row. You can do them once, twice, or up to 3 times through. And that should take you a maximum of about 10 minutes.